Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at a really fantastic piece of curriculum designed specifically for 8th grade students. It covers the final and, let's be honest, absolutely the most exciting phase of the whole writing journey. Because after all that heavy lifting, the planning, the drafting, the endless revising, we're finally exploring what this source calls the art of publishing. It's all about how it guides young writers to step out and confidently share their godly voice with the world.
Okay, let's dive into this. Before looking at the exact mechanics of publishing, the source poses a foundational question for the students. Why do we actually write? Like, why endure the grueling, sometimes totally frustrating process of drafting and editing in the first place? Well, the material points out that words aren't just put on a page to be hidden away in some dusty notebook. We write to communicate, we write to connect, and we do it because we have something genuinely valuable to say.
Section 1. What is publishing? The core definition provided by the curriculum here is pretty straightforward. Publishing is simply preparing your writing to share with an audience and showing your absolute best work. This is it. It marks that magical transition where your private effort turns into public pride. According to the text, it's not just about getting a grade from a teacher anymore. It's about leaving a piece of yourself, right there in written form, for others to read, learn from, and enjoy.
Section 2. Why share your voice? The curriculum anchors this whole concept spiritually with a really powerful quote from Matthew 5:16, "Let your light so shine before men." It positions this idea as the ultimate reason for sharing your hard work. When students publish their best writing, the text argues that they're literally letting their light shine. They're demonstrating their dedication and ultimately pointing people towards something much greater than themselves.
But of course, we all know that sharing that voice can be incredibly exciting, but also, a little scary. The material totally acknowledges this vulnerability. Stepping over that threshold to present your own personal thoughts and stories to an actual audience, that takes a lot of courage. But pushing through that initial fear is presented as the exact mechanism for personal growth.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how Proverbs 16:24 is used to remind students of the immense power their published words hold. Pleasant words are as a honeycomb. The idea explored here is that writing isn't just about, showing off your perfect grammar skills. It's framed as a powerful biblical tool to encourage truth, kindness, and wisdom in whoever happens to be reading it.
Section 3. How to prepare your work. To actually get to that final stage, the material outlines what is essentially a pre-flight checklist. First up, review the work for content and mechanics, just to make sure the foundation is completely solid. Second, ensure you have a clear, inviting title. Third, check for consistent formatting, avoiding those wild, accidental font changes halfway through a paragraph. And finally, fix any remaining errors so you're presenting a truly professional piece.
Then we get a highly practical takeaway offered in the module, which is to always keep a copy of your published piece for a writing portfolio. Because publishing is such a major milestone, saving that final polished copy allows a writer to look back months or even years later and see exactly how much their skills have evolved. It's a real celebration of all that hard work.
Let's move to and see how this builds in Section 4, Examples of Publishing.
In an 8th grade setting, the curriculum explains that publishing can actually take a few different forms. So, a student might contribute a poem to a class anthology, resulting in a real printed booklet they can hold. Or they might do a public reading, standing proudly to share a story aloud with their peers. Or they could even submit a digital publication, where an essay gets uploaded to the school's online newsletter. These all provide very real, tangible platforms for young writers to visualize their success.
Section 5. Reflecting on your journey. This acts as a sort of rapid-fire opportunity to reflect on everything we've just learned. The curriculum poses a series of reflection questions for the students, starting with, what does publishing mean in the writing process? It challenges them to recall that core definition we established right at the beginning, that pivotal step of turning a private drafting process into a polished public presentation.
The second reflection question asks why reviewing work before publishing is so absolutely critical. The text highlights that this preparation step isn't just about pleasing a teacher. It's fundamentally about respecting your audience and ensuring your message shines clearly without the distraction of preventable typos. Third, it asks for one example of how you could publish your work in class. This just prompts the students to recall those specific platforms we covered a moment ago, getting them to think about whether their own voice might be best suited for an animated public reading or maybe living digitally in that school newsletter. Question 4 focuses on exactly why you should keep a copy of your published work.
This really reinforces the idea that a portfolio acts as your own personal history book, and that saving those documents is the absolute key to seeing your own concrete progress over an academic career.
Finally, the module asks how the act of publishing itself allows you to reflect on your progress. The core insight here is that the very act of finishing and sharing a project builds immense confidence. It gives the writer a chance to step back, look at the final product, and actively recognize their own growing capabilities.
Section 6, Education with Morality.
So the crucial point is this core philosophy from the Academy Godly Learners series. Education without morality will hurt. The text basically argues that being incredibly smart and having highly refined writing skills means very little if you use that education to make bad choices or to hurt others with sharp words. Character is presented as being just as critical, if not more so, than intellect.
Furthermore, the material references Romans 8:6-7, which promises peace of mind to everyone who keeps their mind spiritual. The curriculum explains that aligning your learning with faith doesn't limit your educational journey at all. Actually, it ensures that the knowledge you gain is ultimately used for good, bringing true peace of mind.
And this leaves us with one final, incredibly important challenge posed by the text. How will you use your newly published voice to build others up? It's a thought-provoking way to conclude, inspiring students to embrace the excitement of writing, overcome the fear of sharing, and actively use their words to positively impact the world. Thanks so much for exploring this curriculum with us, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.